where to buy altcoin dips in this next bull market. That's what we're going to talk about today on Crypto Intel. I'm Max, and stay tuned because I'm going to go through and show you just by data what kind of dips we should expect in altcoins and in Bitcoin during this next bull cycle. Let's get started. Okay, so in today's video, I want to take a closer look at what will happen during dips in the bull market that we're just starting right now. And to do that, I think the best way is to just look back and see what kind of percentage dips that we have in prior bull markets. So I'm going to go back here. Let's first start going back here. And I've kind of measured these out. Let's go back to the 2019-2020 bull market, 2021. That's the previous one to the one we just had. And let's just take a look at what kind of dips did we experience. And if we look here, what I did was I took the what I saw to be the 7 biggest dips in these bull markets. And so here you see what are we, and I'm taking the dips from the top to the bottom, including the wicks. And you can see that in the 2019, 2020, 2021 bull market, we can see that we had a dip here of 26%, 28%, 29%. If I just widen this out, you can see where I'm taking it. And again, I am including the wicks. We go up here and we see 31%. Now, what's interesting is if you average these out, these 7 dips during the bull market previous to the one we just had, it equals out to about 29% average. So you can expect roughly a 30% dip. That is what happened in the 2020-2021 bull market. Okay. Now let's take a look at the last bull market, which is the one we just had in 21. Let's go over here and we'll take a look at that. Now let's look at what were the percentage dips. So you can see here, 116 roughly, a 10% dip, a 17, let me widen it a little bit so you can see, a 17% dip, a 26% dip, 24%, and then 14%, and then again a 24% dip at the very top here of the bull market in 2021. So averaging these dips out, these 7 biggest dips, it comes out to roughly 19%. So you can see that in the two bull markets previous, the average dip was around 30%. In the last bull market, the average dip was around 20%. That's a big decrease in the amount of dips that are happening. So if we look at where we're at now, let's just get over to where we are now. You can extrapolate from that what you think the dips might be. Now my feeling is that let's just look at the one major dip we've had so far in the beginning of this bull market, and that's right here, where we're at roughly about a 13% dip over 3 or 4 days. So to my mind, if we extrapolate into this bull market that we're experiencing now, we can expect the dips to be lower. The dips to not be as much as in the previous 2 bull market cycles. 2 cycles ago, it was around 30%. The last cycle, it was around 20%. And in this cycle, I expect it to be somewhere between 10 to 15%. That's where I think the dips are going to go. And so what that means is right now, you see today we're having, some dips in the market. So if we kind of plot this out, if we go by the averages, I would say, that we're probably going to dip somewhere around here if we continue to have a major dip here. Could go even as low as 17. So anywhere between, I would say, 12 and 15%. That's where we can expect dips in this bull market going forward. Okay, so what does this mean for altcoins? How can we use this information to help us understand what kind of dips we're going to experience in altcoins during this next bull phase of the market? Well, let's take a look. What I did was I went back and I looked at two altcoins, Ethereum and Solana, because these are kind of some of the top altcoins for this cycle that people are investing in. And let's just take a look at what kind of dips we experienced in those. Now, if we look at the last cycle and look at the dips for Ethereum, we can see that okay, we had a big dip here of 50. Oops, let me just make this a little bigger here. 55%. We had a 40% dip. 24, 30 roughly. And then as we got to the top of the market, a 20% and then a 30% dip once we got to the top of the bull run for Ethereum in the last cycle. And what that averaged out to was about 33%. So in the last cycle, Bitcoin had an average dip of about 20%. Ethereum had an average dip of about 35%, roughly 35%. So you can see that that's almost double. So we can now let's take a look at Solana, which was not as mature during the last cycle. It had its first big cycle last time. Its only cycle actually last time. But let's take a look at where these dips occurred and how big they were in Solana. And you can see here a dip of 20%. Here's a big one, 46% dip, a 21, a 19, and towards the top of the market, Solana got up to about 260, about a 30% dip. So again, if we average this out, it comes out to about 28%, a little bit less of a drastic dip than Ethereum, which was at 33%. But again, it's about maybe 10 points higher, 10 points higher than the dip in Bitcoin during the same bull run. So basically what this tells us is that when Bitcoin has a dip, the altcoins are going to dip between twice as much and about 1.5 times as much. That's what I would roughly put it at. So that's how you can figure. So for instance, if I think Solana is now at 60, if it has a dip of around 20 to 25% in this cycle, that's what I would expect the dips to be. As the amount of dip is diminishing as we move ahead in the cycles. In 3 cycles ago, the dips were more at around 30%, big dips. The last cycle, they were around 20%. This cycle, I think they're going to be around, for Bitcoin, I think they're going to be around 15 or so percent. And consequently, the dips in altcoins, the major altcoins, I'm not talking about the very little ones, they can be much more drastic. But the major altcoins you can expect, I would say, between 20 to 25% in the dips. So that's all for today. If you like the content, please give us a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.